Evening, everybody. We're just going to wait to see if, oh, there's Dan. We'll get started here in just a second.
Hello, I apologize for being late.
No worries. All right, well, let's get started. I think we have everybody here. So this is the February 17th, 2021 meeting of the Valley of the Sun Waldorf Education Association, better known as Desert Marigold School. We are here pursuant to open meeting law. So any member of the public is welcome to attend. I see we have 8 attendees in presence. Thank you for being here. We welcome your attendance. But this is a meeting of the board, and unless you are invited in by one of the board members, you just get to watch, you don't get to participate. But thanks for your understanding there. If you would like to contact us, you're welcome to do so. You can reach us at board@desertmarigold.org, and we would love to hear from you. So with that said, Dan, do you have the agenda handy in front of you? And if so, would you mind reading the opening verse?
I'm trying. My computer is causing me problems, which is why I was late.
Okay, we'll jump to somebody else then. Actually, I'll just get it started. And Dan, maybe you could read the closing verse today.
Yes.
Perfect, thank you. All right, so the opening verse: the true aim of education is to awaken real powers of perception and judgment in relation to life and living, for only such an awakening can lead to true freedom. That's from Rudolf Steiner. So let's go around and introduce ourselves. I'm Gregory Schneider. I'm the board president. Dan, will you go next?
Sure. I'm Dan Franks. I'm the board treasurer.
And April.
April Sauer, board secretary.
And Mr. Tanner.
John Tanner, board member.
And we're joined today by a couple of guests. We have Mr. Frank Maurizio, our executive director. Frank, you want to say hi?
Hello, everybody. I'm Frank Maurizio, executive director. I apologize for my bad lighting. I moved to a special place in my house tonight, and I'm going to have to find a new place I could see. I'm sorry about that.
No worries. And also Priscilla Garza, our outside accountant. Priscilla, if you want to say hi, go ahead. Okay. Oh, there she is. She's waving, but...
I was trying to get my computer to work too.
Okay. Well, now that we're all here and on video, let's go ahead and get started. We have a fairly light agenda for once this evening. So we're going to go over some budget and finance issues, hear about the profit and loss and balance sheet, enrollment, fundraising activities. We'll get an update from Frank about anything going on at the school that we need to be aware of or take action on. We'll talk about COVID-19 for a little bit, and we'll have an update on our community contemplation exercise and the recent town hall we had. And of course, we'll approve our meeting minutes from the last meeting. Before we get into all of that, though, I do want to clarify something for anyone who's in attendance who missed the short note I put in the announcement through Parent Square. We're not planning to vote tonight on whether or not to reopen the school. We, back in November, voted that we would follow the Arizona Department of Health Services recommended delivery model for Maricopa County. And they update that once a week, and it's based on the data that they have that they feel is the most complete for that week. The lag time is a couple of weeks, so there are benchmarks on their website. We'll throw them up in a little bit. But their recommended delivery model as of today is still virtual. That could change tomorrow. It updates every Thursday, usually in the morning. And once that update happens, we're going to leave it in Mr. Maurizio's capable hands with all of our wonderful teachers and faculty and staff to make that transition happen. So for anyone who needed more clarity on that, that's where things stand. and that's why we're not taking a vote, because we've already empowered the school to reopen as soon as our Department of Health says they recommend it. All right, with that said, let's jump into budget and finance. April, I know Danielle could not be here this evening, which I should also mention. Happy Ash Wednesday to all those who celebrate. Thank you for being here if you celebrate and you're spending time with us as well. So that said, April, you were working with Danielle on following up with someone who had given us a proposal on doing a fundraising opportunity. Do you know what the status of that is?
I have not had any updates from Danielle. At our last meeting, I was tasked with helping to put together a survey, but I have not heard from her yet. So I assume she's still mulling things over and keeping contact with that individual, but I don't have any updates, sorry.
Okay. Well, we'll follow up with her in a couple of weeks then. Is the survey something that's going to go out soon, or is that still in the works as well?
She has not contacted me, so I don't know. As soon as I have those questions, I can get it up and running, but I don't know what questions she wants to put to the public.
Okay.
But it was in regards to, finding volunteers to help with the fundraising committee and putting events together and whatnot.
Okay.
I'm just basically a scribe. So I don't know what her plans are, but I'm ready to go.
Right. You were handling the technical side of it, not the substantive side. Okay. Well, we do have ongoing tax credit and educational investment campaigns, which Priscilla, maybe you can update us on the latest on that. Donations to the school when we get to that in our financial reports. But Frank, more anecdotally, have you heard about how we're doing there?
No, the last we left it, Danielle was going to be speaking to that person, and we would hear back more at a later date. I have not spoken to that fundraiser person since we met 2 weeks ago, so I'm waiting for an update as well. Okay. And a chance to be more involved and do whatever decision we decide on. Okay.
Well, all right. I'll follow up with Danielle after the meeting. And unfortunately, she's not here to speak for herself, so we'll give her the benefit of the doubt. I know these are crazy times and everybody's dealing with a lot. So I'll follow up and we'll get that rolling. So, let's see, I know this was part of your report, Frank. Can you update us on where enrollment stands today and what we're looking like for next year?
Well, I believe it's really good news. I don't know if you had a chance to share it with the rest of the board and they've seen that.
I did, yeah.
Okay, I have it right in front of me here. I am happy to report right now that the lottery was last Friday. And so Tuesday, we decided to open the pre-registration period earlier than we've done in the past so that we can start taking applications and approving applications. So the lottery's done. We filled all those spaces. And now whatever's left, we send out to all those people on the waiting list. Hey, we're now open. Here is the application to complete. I'm happy to report that today, on February 16th, 17th, we have 252 K through 8th graders enrolling for next year. 56 high school students for next year. That's 308 possible enrollments. At this point, only 4th grade is not at its cap, and the high school. The high school is not at its cap, but they have gone up in cases where we had as low as 11, we're up to 16 in those classes. Now, of course, this is preliminary that we've sent that many apps out. I don't know if all 308 will enroll, but that sure sounds like a really nice starting place. And It's only February 17th. We have 5 tours next week. So I'm positive that even if of those 308, 15 or 20 don't complete the application, we will have 15 or 20 more before this process is done. So that would take us from 240 something at semester to 255 now to 308 by the beginning of school. I'm actually feeling pretty good about that number.
Yeah, I think we should all feel pretty good about that number. That's excellent.
Yep.
And so we're at 255 ADM right now.
Correct.
Is that right? And you're saying it would be 308 ADM?
That's correct. And I took into account to only count the kindergartners. There's 36 of them, but we only get 0.5 funding for them. So I only counted in that K8 252 number, 18 kindergartners, because that's half of 36. And that's all the math I'm doing tonight.
Well, with that excellent news, let's turn it over to somebody who makes her living on math.
Sorry, can I interrupt for 1 second before we move on?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm so grateful for that report that you sent out, Frank, that Crystal put together. It was really informative, and it was just awesome to read all that good news and to hear more good news today. But I did see that you mentioned tours in that report as well as tonight. I know things are weird, and I live down the street, and I'm more than happy to come do a tour. So if anything ever happens and somebody's not available, I'm happy to do that. Just give me a call. Whoever in office, they can just give me a call and I'll come down and do it.
I will say so anyone worried about social distancing and masks on the tours, we're only doing one couple at a time, one person with their kid at a time. Crystal is running the tour, but I begin the tour with her, so I am able to, as the director, to introduce myself and brag a little bit about the school. I don't continue on the whole tour with them just to limit numbers because we're trying to still social distance and be safe. And again, I welcome, if we get into a bind and need someone, April, I would love to have you. So far, so good, and we're following all the protocols.
Okay. Great, thank you.
If I may, Gregory, and I don't want to be a wet blanket, but I do wish to reiterate that what is said on the tours is the agreement that's made with the parents. So we have to be very clear about what we're saying on the tours, because that's what the parents expect when they enroll their children. If we're not saying accurately, conveying the information, what's really going on in the classrooms, and making promises that either aren't true or we can't keep, then that sets up a situation down the road for dissatisfaction. So again, I want to be really clear about the messaging that we're putting out.
Hey, John, if you have a chance tomorrow, I know you come up and run copies once in a while. If you could share with me what you believe should be and should not be mentioned, I gladly will do my very best to enforce that. I obviously don't know what should or shouldn't be mentioned yet. I specifically talk about our wonderful facility and our class sizes and things like that. And Crystal talks about the Waldorf part at this point because I don't feel I have enough knowledge on the Waldorf part yet. But I think that's part of what you want to relay to me is some of those things to say. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I really appreciate your open door policy and transparency. So I will be happy to stop by.
It'll be good.
I wasn't trying to catch you off guard. I just want everybody to really understand that we need to keep promises that we make. So that's all it's about.
I agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. If we were going to have a campaign slogan for the school right now, it ought to be promises made, promises kept, especially when it comes to school tours. So thanks for working together to make sure that we're giving people accurate information.
Yeah, I think that was the campaign slogan for the mayor of Philadelphia for a while. So yeah, that's okay. No, just kidding. Just kidding. Yeah.
That's funny.
All right, Priscilla, let's turn it over to you.
Hello, all. So just as a reminder, I want to make sure that you guys know where these numbers are coming from. So currently, the amount of the state equalization is being paid off of 248.501 ADM. I know Frank mentioned 255, but just the just when they pull their data versus when it's entered in. So the amount that we're receiving right now is 248. And I'm sure the next data pull, those numbers will jump up and we'll take a look at those. We will be on campus tomorrow. As a reminder, we had budgeted 258 for ADM. And since we're coming under on our 100th day of 248, we will have to revise this year's budget. So Frank and I will start working on that tomorrow. I know he's really excited about next year and wants to already start on next year, but we need a budget on this year, revise this year's budget first before we move on. So just a reminder. So if you guys have all received the spreadsheet with the financial data in the notes, I don't know if somebody wants to flash up on their screen the profit and loss that we normally show the community.
Yep, I'll throw that up.
Yeah, number 5 is the one that we normally flash up there. Okay, so these numbers run July 1st through January 31st. Our tuition collected from individuals is $15,000. Our tax credit so far that we've received this year is $5,155. Miscellaneous income is $44,000. Our state revenue, including equalization and classroom site fund, is $1.4 million. And our federal revenue, which is our IDEA grants and our E-rate grant, is $229,000. So we have a total of $1,695,000. As we look at our expenses, we are spending $1,261,000 on regular education, $163,000 on special education, and we had $58,000 from our Prop 301 expenses. So our total expenses before depreciation and the private program is $1,483,000. Our private program, when you add those two numbers together, is $36,000, and our depreciation from prior things that we've purchased is $87,000. So currently, for the ending January 31st, we're looking at income of $88,202. Not bad. I know you guys get the spreadsheet. Was there anything that you saw in the spreadsheet that you had questions on?
I had a quick question regarding that. I'm so grateful for that spreadsheet. It makes so much more sense to me than these.
Oh. Well,
I'm grateful for that. But I've noticed there's a line item about grocery store programs. Mm-hmm. Is that still parent council that's doing that? Do we know like where, if we were going to do another like advertisement on that, is that typically parent council?
I believe it is. I can double check that, but that's still coming from the Kroger stores. Let me take a quick look and I will tell you. Just at that field.
I just don't know who was technically like advertising it, but I know it's kind of on the like on our website. It's under the parent resources page, and it's probably just a good time to send out another reminder because that's such a no-brainer. You know, once you're in the system, you're in the system, and that money just goes straight to our school. So
right. So the grocery store income so far this year has been $302, and that is that's going into the general fund. It's not going into the parent council fund.
Yeah. No, that's what I meant. But
okay.
But I think it's time to do another reminder and let people know because I haven't seen one in a really long time, and every dollar counts. So I'll talk to Michelle about that and see if we can't get another reminder out. Thank you.
Okay, if that changes and that income needs to be credited towards the parent council dollars, just let me know and we can make that happen.
I'm fairly certain it goes to general fund, but I just think they're the ones who do the reminders. But thank you.
Oh, okay. Are there any other questions on the spreadsheet or any of the notes? Okay, we can take a look at our balance sheet. It's number 6. Report number 6. Perfect. Thank you. So looking at our cash balances in the main account, we have 220,000. In our PayPal account, we have 1,300. And in the savings account, 66,000 for a total of 288,321. In accounts receivable, we have 198. And what that is the equalization payment. And I think it's just equalization payment because I don't think the Prop 301 was published yet. Prepaid expenses is 1,341. We have not had any changes in our fixed assets, so our fixed assets remain the same. Looking at accounts payable, we owe 24,887 at the end of the month. In credit card debt, we owe 805. Other payroll liabilities and deposits, the copier lease, 46,000 for the other liabilities for the school. We owe 1.424 on the land, and then we're down to the equity. Does anybody have any questions in regards to any of that data? And I know there were other sheets for the accounts payable, so you could see the listing of who we owe. If there are no more questions, I'll turn it back over.
Well, it doesn't take long when it's all mostly good news. So is that equalization payment, is that, I guess I do have one question. Is that what we're expecting to get in the beginning of February, or was that?
I'm sorry, the what?
The equalization payment, is that, when is the timing of that relative to this balance sheet?
Well, I book the money for January, so it goes into the January profit and loss, and we actually get the money February 1st. Okay. I was looking at our bank account earlier, and it looks like it was a little bit less than that. Not by much, but a little less. So, and then you would take that actual number once we get it and adjust back. Prop 301 is there too. I'm sorry. So that 198, I know I send these out as duplicate reports as well. The 198, 186,000 of that is the equalization. Okay. And 12,000 is the Prop 301 that we're expecting that paid February 4th. I see. Okay. That makes more sense. Okay. And that does match what actually hit in February. Yeah. Or earlier this month. When do you find out what the equalization payment is going to be for a particular month? They normally publicize it like the last week of the month. So It all depends. The Classroom Site Fund, it seems like they're getting later and later on it. But the equalization, somewhere around the 25th of the month or so is when we get the notification on what it's going to be. And it's usually paid the first day of the following month. But for income purposes and for the financial statements, I book it into the current month. Got it. When you get that notice, would it be could you forward that to the board? It would just be kind of helpful to see that as it comes in, if it's possible, or is it aggregated, like every school you work with, you get a notice for it? No, I don't get a notice at all. I go out into the website and check for it, and then I pull down the report. But when I pull down the report, I can forward it to you. Okay. Thanks. That would be helpful. Mm-hmm. And did you want to mention the email that was sent today about ESSER 2, or do you want me to? Go ahead. So we received notification today that they are doing another ESSER grant. So the allocations for each of the schools were published today, and Desert Marigold will be receiving another $150,000, or has been allocated $150,000. We have to apply for it and do what we need to do. There's a webinar on February 24th for more information, and we will be attending that webinar. And once we attend that, then we'll do what we need to do to apply for it.
And the ESSER, was that what previously we had gotten 50,000 for?
Yes.
Okay, so this is triple that now that
Yes.
we're eligible for.
Yes.
Can I ask a question, Greg?
We go for it.
What are the boundaries to use the ESSER grant for? Are there boundaries?
Well, that's what the webinar is for, February 24th. The first ESSER funds, it was intended to be for COVID related, but they were opening up anything to being COVID related. I mean, it could be cleaners, it could be salaries, it could be gloves, it could be custodial contracts. It was pretty much open to anything that you wanted to allocate it to, with the exception of bonuses to upper management.
Okay.
Well, I hope we have that same kind of flexibility this time around.
Yeah, we'll find out at that webinar, and we'll let you know as soon as we know.
Excellent. More good news.
Yes.
We need it. All right. Any other questions, folks? No? All right. Well, Mr. Tanner, did you have one?
So with the ESSER grant, who is in charge of the follow through? I heard Priscilla say she was going to go to the webinar. Is that in her court? Is that in Mr. Maurizio's court? Is that in Mr. Frank's court? Who's going to do the follow up on that?
Well, as
she said, it was an application process.
So Aspire, it's part of our contract to help you with the grants. And so Aspire has taken care of the ESG and was able to get you guys the ESG money and the ESSER. Previously, we did all the application process and all the documentation that needed to be done, the grant, pulling the money down for the grant. So that's within what Aspire does to help you guys out. And that's part of our contract to help you with the grant management. Prior to Aspire Christy was there and helping some of it. I know like on the IDEA, when Laura was there, Laura was taking care of IDEA. But now that Laura's not there, we're working with Crystal on it. So we're kind of managing your grants for you and doing all that follow-up to make sure that happens.
Thank you, Priscilla.
Mm-hmm.
I do generally attend, like I plan on attending that webinar just so I'm informed. And I try to attend all the grant related webinars and COVID related webinars.
That'd be great.
Priscilla, I would tell you the same thing. If you think it's important for me to be there, I will be there. Or if it's something that you and I cover when we meet in our meetings, that would be just fine too. I just tell me what you need and I'll do whatever you need.
Okay.
All right. Well, Priscilla, thank you very much. Much appreciated. The financial reports and the good news on the grant.
Of course.
So, Frank, with that, the next thing on our agenda is an update from you and anything you need us to take action on.
Well, I think in my report, I talked to you about some of the preparation work we're doing right now in case we get notified that we're in the yellow and we can go to hybrid. And so this week I met with our custodial management company, Plan B, and they started Tuesday afternoon sanitizing rooms again in a deeper way because we're getting ready for kids to come back. So they're even starting to clean some classrooms that aren't occupied with students right now. And they will ramp up in case there's a chance that we might be back in next week. The second thing we did was we sent out to all parents, so all of you should have received the parent survey on we're getting ready. If this happens, how many kids are you planning on sending back? How many are you planning on keeping on remote? A little checklist of things going over our protocols that we will still ask teachers and students to wear masks and social distance. We are asking that if we gave you a device to work on through Zoom, that you bring it back to us when you come back on campus, because we're trying to get ready for AZ Merit and we need as many computers as possible. A little bit of good news on that. I saw something from the city of Phoenix about a month ago that they had some grant money left over for technology. And I sicked Deb Pallo on it and said, Deb, can you contact someone? Because they're basically saying, how many computers do you need? Well, Deb hounded them for a couple days, and it looks like we're going to get minimum 30, could be 100
Wow.
of laptops that we could use for all our testing in the future.
Wow.
And this comes with the software attached. It comes with, obviously, the piece of hardware. It comes with the chargers. It comes with headsets. It's everything that we would need. And I just stumbled across it in a newspaper article one day. And God bless Deb Pallo. When you give her a task, she goes after it. And I'm very happy. I'm very proud of the work she put in. But this could save us a lot of money in the future. And of course, these are brand new computers with, these are not simple pads that we're using. These are full laptops. So the power on them would be way more than the poor kids have now. And as you know, we've had connection problems. And so we're real happy with that. What's the other thing? The survey, the parent survey went out. I'm happy to say over half of our parents answered back the same day we sent it out. We gave them till tomorrow afternoon so that Friday morning I will have an absolute count of how many kids are planning on coming back to a classroom, how many kids parents are planning on keeping on remote. And I do have the ability, we are sharing that with each staff member so they can see their own class counts in their own classes. So they know I have 4 who want to stay remote. I have 16 that are going to come. But we will know all that Friday morning. I feel really good about that prep work ahead of time and about the custodial service wanting to clean. One question on the custodial service, the staff has asked me if we're coming back, should we be entertaining doing the day porter again? As you know, the day porter was part of the ESSER grant, and that ran out. The good news is if we really are going to get this other ESSER, it's only $2,500 a month for the next 3 months. And knowing we're going to get that, maybe that's a good choice for us to make, just to lean on the side of safety and sanitization. But I leave that to the board to make that decision on that budget item.
Yeah, I think with the news today and good timing that we've been allocated $150,000 for exactly that kind of expense, I don't see why we wouldn't take that precaution. Make sure we're keeping everything as clean as we can.
Can I go ahead and talk about that with Jessica and call Plan B back? Because he's on hold knowing this could happen. And if that happens, I would start that day porter the day that we start back on campus.
Yeah, I would do that. And is it just a month-to-month type of deal, or is it?
Yes, that's how he's been doing it. And so we would still have March, April, May with kids in school. So 3 months at $2,500 really is not that much considering what we just received. 3 months when our budget is near zero is a little bit more.
Right.
But that new ESSER money is minimal to utilize for this. So,
yeah, I mean, I know we're going to learn more about the rules, but I can't see a circumstance in which we wouldn't be able to allocate that to this bucket of funds. I would be shocked. So I'm just trying to, the only thing I'm debating is whether we need to formalize this in a vote, because it's $2,500 a month and it's month to month. It's not like one big expense of $7,500. You could cancel it in March if you wanted to. And other board members' thoughts, Mr. Tanner, procedurally? Well, let's just do this. Let's just vote. I would say let's just vote to approve it, make it clear for the record. So I'll move to approve the hiring of the Plan B day porter at the rate of less than, we'll call it $2,750 per month. Utilizing the new round of ESSER funds.
I'll second.
Thank you, Dan. All right, any further discussion? All those in favor? It's unanimous. Motion carries. Go forth and clean.
Okay, thank you guys very much. I know the staff had mentioned that was important. And so with this new news, I wanted to make sure we could take care of that right away. I'm trying to think if there was anything else. I put on the board report, we're planning for AZ Merit again. We're in the middle of parent-teacher conferences right now. I think the other two items was asking about the fundraiser and what direction, if you're giving me a new direction, and about the cultural training and what direction you want to go there. I sent you something, Greg, and I thought it was high, so I wanted you to see the email stream where I said back, that seems a little bit high.
Right.
I have not heard back since then.
Huh. Okay, well, hard to, again, make a decision before we have the
$1
final. Yeah. So,
I agree.
So I think we kick that one back for another couple of weeks, and the fundraiser we'll follow up on.
I'll keep reaching out to her to say, hey, have you finished that yet? My board wants to know, and see. It may be time I just call her instead of email. She's a very nice lady, and I find conversations usually end better when they're conversations.
Yeah, agreed. All right.
That's all I had, I believe. I'm not leaving anything out of the report I gave you, am I?
I have a comment around the laptops that you're getting from the city of Phoenix.
Uh-huh.
When you get a chance, we need there's like a proper way to store them, since we're not going to be using them very frequently. Like you don't want to have the batteries fully charged, like you want to store at a certain temperature, like just that entire thing. So I'd be happy to advise so that they'll last as long as possible. You
bet. And I believe they're actually coming with a cart as well, which is great. So cool. It's a lockable cart on wheels that we can wheel to a room if we need it. But in the next, when we get the final yes, I'm going to have Deb talk to you, Dan, to ask some questions and give you a chance to give some input so we don't make a mistake in accepting something that we shouldn't, or because between you and me, I don't have that knowledge base. I would lean on people like you to say, no, that's a good deal, or no, you need to get this too. So I'll include you when we get close to that. Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Well, unless there's anything else, let's turn to the latest on COVID-19. So I think with the day porter, we've covered what's relevant to the school in the short term on COVID-19 and the survey that you mentioned. So let's just take a look at the latest benchmark data that we have. Throw that up here. Second.
Is this from last week, Gregory?
So this is as of Thursday of last week. And unfortunately, the timing of our board meetings were almost a week behind on the data because they'll update it again tomorrow at some point during the day. All right, so this is where we are as of the update on February 11th. Annotate this a little bit. Okay. That's not what I wanted. No. All right, so here we are as of February 11th, and like I mentioned, we have the data lags by a couple of weeks. So this data set is as of January 24th, which is now almost 3 weeks behind, which is why we'll get a new set tomorrow. And the reason that they do that is because the way cases are reported, they don't get news of all the cases on any given day that day. There's often, a week or more that goes by before they actually have what they consider a mostly complete set of data for a particular week. So that's why they wait a couple of weeks before saying, okay, here's where the benchmarks are for this particular week, so that it's the fullest set of data. So that said, we are very much trending the right direction. Percent positivity is going down, hospital visits going down, the cases per 100,000 individuals going down pretty steeply. So I think we are, I will be surprised if at least one of these is not in the yellow as of tomorrow. And I'm not sure because DHS is not particularly clear on if it's at this point in the game, if it's only one that has to go back into the yellow before they change their recommendation, or if it has to be in the yellow for 2 weeks. Way back, feels like, the beginning of time now, but back in August, DHS was saying all 3 of these had to be in the yellow for 2 weeks before they would recommend hybrid. But then, as we know, a few months later, they changed their minds on what would be required to send a school back to virtual only, saying, okay, it's not just one of these going into the red that's going to trigger that. It has to be all 3. So I suspect that if they're consistent in their logic, one of these going into the yellow for 1 to 2 weeks is going to be enough for them to change their recommendation. So I expect, based on the recent data that's coming in that's not as complete as this, but the data we have will show that, either tomorrow or the next Thursday after tomorrow will likely show a changed recommended delivery model, because one or more of these will be in the yellow for 2 weeks. And here's why I think that's going to be the case. So this is more recent data. So as of today, there were less than 1,000 cases reported today, which is great news. Not long ago, it was 4,000 or more cases every day, a dramatic reduction. Then if you look at the laboratory testing, you can see that, so for the week of January 31st, which is the data set that they will likely be updating with tomorrow, we were at 12% positivity. And then the next week, it's down to 9%. So we'll see if that holds, but that's very good news. And then you can see that the cases, are dropping off pretty dramatically. Again, more good news. And then if you look at hospital visits for COVID-like and influenza-like illnesses, so this is just COVID-like illnesses. So again, we want this number to be below 10%. We can see for the week of January 31st, this is already down to 8.2%. So I would expect that tomorrow morning we're going to see that benchmark in the yellow pretty clearly. And then for the following week of February 7th, it's down to, I'm not looking at the right one, 4.6%. So even dramatically lower. So which is why I say if they don't change their recommendation to hybrid tomorrow, it will very likely happen the following week, because this factor in particular will very likely have been in that yellow range for at least 2 weeks at that point. So that's where things stand. And believe me, I share with just about everybody else. I'm ready for them to change it back to a hybrid model. And so these kids and their families who are ready and willing to have them back in school in person can do so. All right, so that's where we are there. Any questions, comments on that topic? Nope, okay. All right, so then let's move on to our last substantive topic for the evening. An update on our progress towards doing a school-wide contemplation exercise. This has really picked up progress over the last couple of weeks, I'm happy to say. Frank, do you want to mention what you've been doing on your end?
Yes, I forgot. There's a couple of things there that I haven't mentioned yet. As you know, we have Friday, the scheduled meeting with Teresa, who it will be prepared at that meeting to share with us a scope and sequence and a timeline and a cost. I believe she's going to roll out the whole thing to us for us to go yes, no, or how about we make this change and that change. But I believe we will hear that Friday morning at our Zoom call with her. On a similar note, because it has to do with training, which is important, I met with, as I do every couple weeks now, with Joan and Peter, and it was a 10, again, just two wonderful people who are in our corner as a school and a community. And I also met with Laura Haney, parent, and Michelle Kratzer, parent. And I shared with them a dilemma we have as we try and get some of our teachers certified in Waldorf, and how there seems to be only one or two places that are continuing the training through COVID, and they're in New York, and they're very pricey, minimum $18,000 a summer. And it's kind of hard to send one of your teachers who has 3 children at home to go away for the summer for 8. They're just saying, I can't do that. They want training, but that is a little bit too much. So I talked with Laura and Michelle to say, I know you guys pay for professional development sometimes for teachers. And I explained our dilemma to them. And I said, what if I could host a training here in the summer? And I found trainers to come to us, and we wouldn't have to pay our teachers to go anywhere. We wouldn't have to pay for flights and hotels. We did a 3-week summer because they're under contract in the summer. They don't have to pay for it to be in it. You hire the 2 teachers for me, the trainers. We open it to Tucson, Prescott, and Flagstaff to send their teachers here. They pay us to be part of it. Well, the parent group said, that's a great idea. Let's look into it. So I had a conversation with Peter and Joan, and they are just excited through the roof. They think they can find trainers for us. They're going to focus on little parts at a time. Obviously, the first part is about main lesson and how important that is, daily lesson, how that is kind of centers around what we do the rest of the day and the rest of the week. And they're going to go find us some trainers to come do this for us in the summer. And I'm going to find, I know we have at least 3, if not 4 teachers who are interested, who are not fully Waldorf trained. I talked with 3 of them today, and they're on board, especially since we can bring it to them. So I know Laura and Michelle are on this call, and I thank them very much for their support of our staff. Joan and Peter, I thank them openly that they can help us make this happen. I know it's not the full $18,000 summer that we like, where they get the total certificate in 1 or 2 summers, but we may have to piecemeal this for our staff who can't pay $18,000 to go somewhere. And we have several of them like that. And so just brainstorming this, it turned out to be a decent idea. And so the balls are rolling, and let's see if we can get this happening for this summer.
Excellent. And circling back to the contemplation exercise piece of it, I also met with Joan and Peter separately, just to get their ideas and for them to hear mine. And it was, like you say, a 10 meeting. It was very exciting. I feel like we're really getting momentum going towards getting this exercise to happen. And I think we're all kind of generally in agreement that the best week to do that would be the week immediately after the school year ends, before people start traveling. And so, we'll see what COVID looks like then and how this is going to work and what all the meetings are going to be. That's what we'll talk to Teresa about tomorrow, or the Friday. But, we are making fast progress, and we have the support of Peter and Joan, Teresa, and Liz Bevan, who are all very invested in seeing us succeed with this contemplation exercise and really reorienting us as a school. So I said to them, I feel like we've been just dragging through the mud for a couple of years now, and we're finally at the point now where we're doing something exciting, and we're growing, and we're building something again, and it's really fun to be a part of. So, I'm really looking forward to seeing this happen, and I think we're going to be able to do it very easily before the start of the next school year, which, 2 or 3 months ago, if you'd asked me when is it going to happen, I would have shrugged my shoulders and said, I don't even know. I don't know. But now we're on the cusp of making it happen within, a couple of months, which is great. So Frank, thanks for all the work you've done, meeting with people and building that momentum. Really appreciate that.
You're welcome. And I appreciate that, but I want you to know also, I am enjoying this immensely, and it is fun to go to work every day.
Excellent. That's great to hear. All right. So then the last thing on our substantive thing is a report about the community town hall we had, not this past weekend, but the weekend before. We were scheduled for 90 minutes. We went for 2 hours. Frank and Christy and Danielle were all very generous with their time. And we took live questions from parents and community members. And, it was on a range of topics, from finance to pedagogy to the garden to COVID. and it was an open and candid discussion about where we are now and what we hope to do with the school, and what the challenges are that we can see right now to doing those things. But it was really, I thought, an excellent conversation with everyone very passionate, enthusiastic about the school. And, it was another event where I just got more excited about the school, again, in a way that I haven't been in a long time. So I want to do another one. I don't want to do them too frequently because I think there's some benefit in, letting people's questions build up a little bit. Otherwise, we might just be chatting, which would be great. But I want to actually add value to everybody's evening, especially if we're asking a teacher and other board members and Mr. Maurizio to take time on the weekend to do this. So stay tuned. We're definitely going to do it again. And thanks for everybody who could be there. We had, I want to say it was nearly 40 or more than 40 participants.
A little more than 40.
A little more than 40 participants, at the height of it, which was excellent. And it just goes to show you the value of the community we have here. I mean, everybody is so passionate and willing to participate in this. To have our student body is 280 or 277. If we actually count all the kindergartners as a whole person, and to have that level of turnout from parents is pretty impressive. So thank you, everyone.
Hey, Greg, before you get to the end, can I just do a public thank you?
Absolutely.
Miss Tammy Hendricks, Friday, our receptionist. It's her last day. I know she hasn't been there a long time, but boy, she is an important cog in the wheel that makes it roll. And as someone who is new, she has been just stellar at helping me through the pits and valleys, and her knowledge and her ability to create relationships with our families and know every single kid and know that parent drives that car. And I mean, she just knows all the stuff that you don't have time to look up. And we found a wonderful replacement in Bonnie Chase, and she's been training all week. But I wanted to publicly thank Tammy for all the time and effort she has given to the Desert Marigold. We will miss her.
Thanks very much for that goodbye and message of gratitude. And we'll add the board's gratitude onto that as well. Everybody contributes, no matter the role. So, all of that valuable information just makes this community so much better. So thanks very much for your service.
You bet.
All right. With that, we are to discussion and approval of our minutes. We have one to approve from our February 3rd meeting. So I will move to approve the minutes of our February 3rd, 2021 meeting.
Second.
Thank you, Dan. Any discussion? All those in favor? All right, unanimous. And the motion carries. All right, with that, we are at the end of our agenda at the remarkable hour of 7:30. So with that, I will move to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you, Dan. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor? Unanimous again. All right. Dan, can you read the closing verse for us?
The most important tasks for humankind today and in the future is that we should learn to live together and understand one another. If this human fellowship is not achieved, all talk of development is empty. Rudolf Steiner.
Cool. Thanks very much. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks, everyone. Thank you all. Good night.
Night.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.